Wuxia+Comprehensive Martial Arts Jin Yong+Divine Sculpture Start+Mild Invincible Shuang, Not Long Aotian, plus IQ Online. By chance, Ouyang Jie traveled to the world of martial arts and became the unlucky protagonist, the ordinary and unremarkable divine eagle hero. With his arrival, Yang Guo became Ouyang Guo, and Toad Gong reappeared in the martial arts world. Who is the enemy of the heroes of the world? At the sight of Yang Guo, he missed his entire life. He will make up for all the regrets in this life. Chapter 1. Yang Guo's surname Ouyang in one dynasty. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. July 2006. Bang bang bang. A heavy rain hit, accompanied by strong winds hitting the glass outside the window. Ouyang Jie quickly put down his affairs and opened the window to collect his clothes. He couldn't help but complain, "It's over, I forgot the time for overtime tonight." His grandmother's Jojo Lu Fu report. Click. Suddenly, a lightning bolt tore open the sky. Thunder fell and Ouyang Jie fell in response, his body turning into nothingness and becoming a missing person. In a clear and green lake, Ouyang Jie woke up again. Good-a-do, he realized that he had been tied up and immersed in water with the wood. Just crossing over and being reborn is about to drown again. Ding dong. If the host triggers a life and death crisis, please choose the Autonomous Survival or AI Intelligent Combat mode. AI. I chose the AI Proxy mode. Accept host requests and start in one-click idle mode. Identity. Ouyang Jie and Yang Guo are merging. Martial arts. Incomplete the 9-in manual, inverse, Toad skill, introductory, Jianghu school's internal mental skill, and ancient tomb school's mental skill are integrated. Moves. Tianluoduwang palm technique, beauty sword technique, Jianghu sword technique input, kind reminder. The host's new identity is Ouyang Guo. During the suspension period, all control of the body belongs to AI. Hang up, you must hang up immediately. He didn't hesitate at all. Subsequently, the whole person became different under the control of the AI computer. Goo 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 goo. Ouyang Jie, or the current Ouyang Guo, even though his mouth was closed, the sound of frogs in his chest was heard, and all his internal mental skills quickly merged into one, forming a brand new Toad technique. Close your breath and separate water. Effortlessly. If there is a flaw, it is that he has temporarily become a puppet without human emotions. Go ahead. Go ahead. Come up quickly. Suddenly, a cry for help came from the water surface. Wow, is it little dragon girl? Ouyang Guo guessed in his heart, but could not respond. Junior sister, if you don't agree to hand me the secret script again, your well-being will be drowned. Another coquettish voice said, full of jealousy. Later, come up quickly. Anyway, I'm seriously injured and can't survive anymore. Xiaolongnu called out. Boom. At this moment, Ouyang Guo, controlled by AI, suddenly activated the brand new Toad skill. Instantly apply force to break the rope. With a whoosh, he jumped up into the sky and carried the injured body of little dragon girl, floating to the ground. Good kid. You really have it. I don't even want to die for my junior sister. The previous voice became even more jealous. Ouyang scanned the people and things around him with his gaze. Wow. White clothes wet with water. Immortal sister. Lu Feifei's version of Little Dragon Girl. And there's also the purple beauty Li Mochou. Surprisingly, the plot is similar to the TV drama I watched before my rebirth. Ouyang Guo's heart flashed with a hint of surprise and 3 glimpses of joy. Unfortunately, he was in a state of suspension and was unable to respond at the moment, so he could only remain indifferent and relative. AI is only responsible for fighting, dealing with crises, and not emotions. Excuse me, are you okay? Xiaolongnu stroked his face and quickly asked. Ouyang Guo's idle state is just running internal power, accumulating strength to prepare for a counterattack. Mochou felt jealous in his heart and drew his sword, threatening, "Junior sister, I will only kill one of you two. Which one do you want to die?" "Of course it's me," little dragon girl said without hesitation. Threatened by a sword blade. Ouyang Guo immediately took half a step and prepared for close combat. But it happened to block in front of little dragon girl. Mochou suddenly withdrew his sword inside. A man like him is truly rare in the world. "Junior sister, my grandparents once said that all men in the world are unlucky. So the disciples of the ancient tomb sect must stay in the tomb for their entire lives and never go down the mountain. Unless we find a man willing to die for her. You have found it, your oath has been broken, you can go down the mountain however," Xiaolong said, "Senior sister, whether my oath is broken or not, everyone will eventually die together." "Why?" Mochou reluctantly asked back. Ouyang Guo also followed suit in his heart, remembering that there was still one way out in the TV plot at the end. Because the broken dragon stone has been put down, the exit is blocked. Even if Master is resurrected, we cannot leave. Xiaolong said. Mochou thought she was speaking angrily, so he softened his tone and said, "Junior sister, you are different from me. You have already found the person you like. As the saying goes, it is easy to find priceless treasures, but it is rare to have a lover. This young man treats you so well, why don't you marry him? In the world of flowers and flowers at the foot of the mountain, you sleep and fly together, enjoying the beauty of the world, that is endless, in a beautiful world. Enjoying things." Xiaolong shook her head and said, "Unfortunately, we are all going to die here. Then I'll kill both of you first." Mochou was furious. Just now, she lowered her voice and spent some time trying to find a way out just to survive. In the end, there is still no hope. In a fit of anger, she suddenly felt a murderous intent, flipped her wrist slightly, and drew her sword to slay the two people in front of her. Ding! The hanging version of Ouyang Guo suddenly released little dragon girl, bullied her body and rushed forward, bending his finger to pop out the center sword. The long sword was bounced off. Mochou was greatly surprised and struck with a split palm. Red practice divine palm. In idle mode. Ouyang Guo naturally remained calm, his mouth creaking and his palms rapidly pushed out. It's the brand new version of Toad Gong. This attack combines the essence of internal skills of the reverse version of the 9-yin manual, the Chuanjin sect and the ancient tomb sect. There is already a faint aura of Ouyang Feng's original Toad technique. The power is truly extraordinary. Boom! Mochou was shaken and flew out, with his back heavily hitting the stone wall and unable to catch his breath, almost injuring himself. "Go ahead. Let's go." Upon seeing this, Xiaolong quickly exerted her remaining strength and threw out the white silk to pull him back. Turning the mechanism on the other hand, he dodged and led Ouyang to the next stone chamber, then closed the door. Mochou couldn't catch up. Ouyang Guo lifted his idle state and was very satisfied with the little dragon girl beside him. "Auntie, there's no need to be afraid of Mochou with me." He instinctively shouted, "Auntie. Even if I want to marry little dragon girl in the future. It doesn't affect calling her aunt." Xiaolong trembled and said, "Go, I'm so cold." Just now she used her true chi to save someone, and the injury triggered, and she couldn't hold on anymore. Although Ouyang Guo can hang up, he won't heal his injuries. "What should I do? Auntie, how should I save you?" Xiaolong said sadly, "I'm afraid I won't be able to do it. You, hold me too. And lie down in the stone coffin over there for a while." Stone coffin. The way out seems to be right under the sarcophagus. Ouyang was overjoyed and hugged her to a stone coffin. Without waiting for little dragon to speak, she pushed open the lid of the coffin. Then he exerted force on both arms and gently placed little dragon girl inside. Jump in right after oneself. The two lay in the coffin together. Xiaolongne said, "What are you doing?" Originally, the coffin was crowded and the two lay side by side. Ouyang Guo naturally held her half in his arms. "Auntie doesn't like it." "No, I really like it." Xiaolongne felt a little shy and blushed. She turned her head and dared not look at the people around her anymore. Ouyang was lost for a while as he smelled the fragrance of the fairy sister's hair. Suddenly, I saw many words written on the inside of the coffin lid. Glancing at it, the first line consisted of 16 large characters. You. The Women's Heart Sutra is full of true skill pressure. Chongyang is not weaker than others throughout his life. There are many ways to crack the martial arts of the ancient tomb sect and some genuine the 9 manual internal mental skills. The signature was actually Wang Chongyang. At the end of the coffin cover is a diagram of the ancient tomb mechanism. Let's watch it together. Xiao Longnu sighed and said, "It turns out that Wang Chongyang is so powerful that he has actually cracked the martial arts that his grandparents and mother-in-law painstakingly established." Ouyang Guo pushed open the lid of the coffin and sneered, "This old Taoist with a bull nose is boasting. There is no the 9 manual, let him give it a try. To look down upon is to look down upon." But he diligently recorded all the martial arts skills left by Wang Chongyang. Xiaolongne suddenly sat up and pondered slightly, "After a while, we don't have to die anymore." Ouyang nodded in response and said, "I know the way out is in the stone chamber under the coffin." After speaking, she stroked little dragon girl out of the coffin. Start looking for a way out on the mechanism map. Chapter 2. Leaving the ancient tomb and entering the Jianghu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Originally, there was a stone chamber under the coffin, and the way out was inside. Ouyang Guo said, "Let's go down and take a look." Xiaolongne smiled slightly. Ouyang searched around and quickly found a mechanism stone slab at the bottom of the coffin. After a gentle rotation, the stone coffin stood up in response. A stone gate is exposed below. After a while, the foul air inside the stone chamber dissipated. Ouyang supported Xiaolongne and said, "Auntie, can you leave now?" Xiao Longnu sighed and said, "It's not cold for the time being, it's just that she can't gather true qi, and it will be difficult for you to take care of me for a few more days." Ouyang walked slowly and entered with her through the stone gate. Walking through a row of short steps, I saw the situation in the stone chamber. I saw that the ceiling inside was densely engraved with handwriting and symbols. The biggest 4 words are the 9 manual. The scriptures recorded above, although incomplete, contain the highest level of martial arts in Taoism, which is Wang Chongyang's refutation and supplement to the martial arts created by his maternal grandmother Lin Chaoying. Lin Chaoying, with Wang Chongyang. 2 great masters of martial arts. Love and kill each other. Angry and worried about each other. Xiaolongne watched for a while, but found it obscure and inexplicable, with endless mysteries. She sighed and said, "The martial arts above are really amazing, but unfortunately we can't learn them now." Ouyang smiled and said, "If you can't learn, just write it down first. There will always be a day when you can learn." Speaking, the consciousness was connected to the AI intelligence system, and all the martial arts recorded in the stone chamber were replicated and recorded in memory. Xiaolongne had injuries on her body and was in low spirits. She quickly leaned against him and fell asleep. After recording her martial arts skills, Ouyang found that her breathing was fine, but sleeping was not a big deal. He was about to pick up little dragon girl and continue running. Suddenly feeling dizzy and bloated, involuntarily feeling drowsy. At this moment, AI intelligence sends a prompt to input advanced Taoist martial arts, but the host's spiritual power is insufficient. The system is about to enter a shutdown update state. After receiving the message, he cursed a scammer. I also fell asleep with it. The two of them leaned against a stone wall and fell asleep together. I don't know how long I slept in my dream. Ouyang suddenly felt a numbness in his waist and was unexpectedly hit by someone's surprise attack on his acupoint, unable to move. He woke up with a start, and hurriedly used the method of closing qi and relieving acupoints in the 9 manual to relieve acupoints in secret. And the little dragon girl next to her has also been caught by someone. It turned out that Mochou had found the ancient tomb mechanism and quietly tracked it down. Her little disciple Hong Lingbo used a knife to cross Ouyang's neck. What do you want? Ouyang Guo is temporarily unable to deal with the female demon head. Decide to delay. Xiaolongnu has a cold temperament and has never been afraid of life and death. Therefore, he remained silent. Mochou sneered and said, "Okay, there's actually a way out hidden here. You two want to escape on your own and fly together, don't you? Junior sister, why don't you carefully speculate on the way out? I'll spare you from dying." She didn't see the map under the lid of the stone coffin. But the guess is indeed very accurate. Xiaolongnu said, "Even if I know, I won't tell you." She is like a crystal transparent person who never twists and turns in her actions. Mochou smiled and said, "If you don't say it, I'll give your little lover some trouble first." Little dragon girl didn't know what suffering was, so she simply closed her eyes and ignored it. Whoosh! Mochou immediately took out an ice soul silver needle. After seeing each other, Ouyang hurriedly said, "Wait a minute. If we take you out, how can you guarantee that you won't break your promise and harm us? Unless you first unlock our numbness hole." Mochou smiled and said, "Don't worry, I was also a disciple of the ancient tomb, and I will not harm my fellow disciples." Ouyang Guo pretended to be in charge and said, "All right, master, wait a moment. I'll ask Auntie to reveal the entrance of the secret passage." Then he turned his head and whispered in the dragon girl's ear, using the secret method of learning. Xiaolongnu had already seen it before, but when she was prompted by him, she suddenly woke up. Hurry up and secretly use Xiangong to move qi through various acupoints, rushing through the acupoints. Mochou saw that the two suddenly changed from whispering to silence. Immediately realizing something was wrong, he shouted, "What do you want to do?" Shua. Ouyang leaned slightly over his shoulder and collided with Hong Lingbo. Then jump forward and raise your hand and palm. It is the multiplication method of the ancient tomb school. A network of heaven and earth. Mochou was very familiar with this technique and immediately launched a move to dismantle it. Unexpectedly, Ouyang Guo deliberately deceived. Just the right palm is weak, causing her to resist. With a gentle finger on her left hand, she hit her waist with qi and blood from the back. Immediately restrain the female demon's head and fix it in place. Hong Lingbo saw his master's defeat and immediately stood still, afraid to move lightly. Use emptiness to balance reality. This is a clever move created by Wang Chongyang specifically for the martial arts of the ancient tomb sect. Although it's just a beginner's experience. But its power is immense. Mochou was both shocked and angry, so he could only plead, "Junior sister, please take care of your nephew. I have no ill intentions towards you." At this moment, Xiaolongnu also unlocked the acupoints, approached and released her palm, unlocking Mochou's acupoints. She is kind-hearted, and the crisis has passed without worrying. Just asking, "Sister, do you want to go out?" Mochou was wary of the two people, but he dared not take action. Immediately, she smiled and said, "This is the good junior sister. I won't be with you two anymore. Take me out quickly." Ouyang looked beside and exclaimed in his heart that little dragon girl was too innocent. Can't take it, can't take it. I can only agree, all right, let's go. Auntie, you lead the way ahead, I'll take the second place, guard against them. Xiaolongnu smiled slightly and took the lead. She held Ouyang Guo's hand and walked towards the direction of the map. Mochou was afraid that the two would get lost or play tricks, so he quickly followed closely behind. Hong Lingbo had to walk at the last. The fork in the road ahead is getting more and more crooked. The position is getting lower and lower as it goes. Gradually, the landing ground is covered with water vapor. Half an hour later. At the end of the fork road is a lake, and the water level is getting higher and higher. Gradually aligning the legs and abdomen with the chest, and finally almost reaching the top. Xiaolongnu whispered, use the secret of holding your breath later, don't drink water and get choked. She is actually very smart, but she is not good at using it. Ouyang said, well, you two, be careful. The two immediately held hands and walked with their breath closed, allowing the lake water to overflow their heads. Li Mochou suddenly panicked and exclaimed, hey, I don't know how to deal with water. What should I do? Help me, junior sister. Ouyang Guo couldn't bear to see this beautiful woman drown, so he reached out his left hand and grabbed her. Li Mochou felt a sense of joy in his heart and quickly grasped it firmly. Hong Lingbo didn't know how to dive, so he grabbed his master Li Mochou's clothes from behind and walked. 4 people followed and tugged, and the undercurrent flowed through. After about a cup of tea, I finally walked out of the pool, revealing my mouth and nose. Little dragon girl is gradually losing her support. Upon seeing the situation, Ouyang quickly sent her ashore to restore her strength. Then looking back, Li Mochou and Hong Lingbo had already passed out. I had to use both hands to lift them ashore and place them on a relatively flat round stone. Li Mochou is in a coma. Suddenly, I felt 2 big hands gently pressing on my chest and abdomen. She let out a few low gasps, gulping out water. Open your eyes. I saw Ouyang's handsome face close by. The other person's hands are pressing on their abdomen. She suddenly felt a strange feeling in her heart. Although my whole body feels sore and numb, I feel extremely shy. Stinky kid, dare you underestimate my pure body. When I recover my skills, I will definitely kill you. Li Mochou tried his best to conceal something unusual. Speaking harshly is more than delicate. Insufficient killing energy. Ouyang Guo snorted coldly, I was trying to save your life. Okay. Since you say I am frivolous, then I am frivolous. What do you mean by that? Speaking of me, he went up and down and even pinched the face of the female demon's head. Hong Lingbo slowly woke up. Seeing this scene, I was so scared that I quickly closed my eyes. Li Mochou was furious. Originally, according to her temperament, she wanted to reward the stinky boy in front of her with an icy silver needle. At this moment, he couldn't move and pretended that his skills had not recovered, delaying his movements. Xiaolongnu slowly stood up and suddenly said, Guo, don't bully my senior sister. Let's go. Ouyang stood up and followed. At the moment of parting. Goodbye, beautiful woman, she said with a reluctant squeeze and a smile. Li Mochou watched as the two walked away and stood up silently. Hong Lingbo then opened his eyes and said, Master, where are we going now? Li Mochou's mood is complex. Thinking of half one's life of sorrow, unable to love. Why can a junior sister fly together with a young lover as she pleases? Immediately disregarding fatigue, he gritted his teeth fiercely and said, follow up and see where they are landing. Junior sister. Your little lover has provoked me. Don't blame senior sister for causing trouble for you. Chapter 3. Remedy regrets and explore the truth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mount Zhongnan. We cannot continue to stay any longer. Here are Yin Jiping or Zhen Jibing. Ouyang Guo doesn't want any accidents to happen and end up wearing a green hat. He is the brand new version of Yang Guo, ordinary and handsome, rising to the sky. You can soak in the girls seduced by Yang Guo in the original trajectory, but we cannot accept the sins of the original owner. For example, what little dragon girl encounters a dragon knight? For example, what is meant by rescuing big and small Wu Ko Hai and being cut off by Guofu's arm? Therefore, he directly picked up little dragon girl with her waist and used her lightness skills to descend the mountain. So far. Evade both Ouyang Feng and Zhenjibing. That afternoon. Come to a small town. Xiaolongne suddenly felt a sense of fear and said, later, let me go. I need to recover from my injuries before I can accompany you to see the outside world. Ouyang smiled and said, okay, let's go find a place to heal our wounds. Subsequently, he chose a abandoned house abandoned by the residents and slept in the wooden house that night. The next day, Ouyang went out to rob the rich and help the poor, obtained some silver, and purchased a batch of firewood and rice to return. Then he practiced together with Little Dragon Girl, undressed and healed his wounds. Little Dragon Girl has long been accustomed to it. Yang Guo, the predecessor of Ouyang Guo, did not understand the relationship between men and women. However, Ouyang Guo's first time healing was due to nosebleeds. Fortunately, he still has some composure. Knowing that Xiaolongne is injured, it is inconvenient to act recklessly. She stabilized her mind and helped her heal. Until half a month later. Xiaolongne's injury only healed completely. It's time for the master and disciple to practice martial arts again at night. After Xiaolongne undressed, she saw his scorching gaze and asked in surprise, why are you looking at me like this? After enduring for half a month, Ouyang was already full of desires and said, Auntie, I'm going crazy. Please make sure to save me. Xiaolongne said, after a while, how should I save you? I haven't figured out yet that I have been hugged by my own better child. She was shocked in her heart, but never considered refusing. The two of them have cheek-to-cheek contact. One is surprised and the other is happy. Gradually merging into one. The next day. Xiaolongne woke up with a limp body. Looking at myself better, there was a hint of reproach in my eyes. Ouyang reached out and helped up her body, which was as smooth as cream, and softly said, Auntie, you're awake. Xiaolongne hid her face in his arms and said coquettishly, are you still calling me Auntie? What do I call you? Xiaolongne smiled faintly and said, you treat me like this, so naturally I can't be your master anymore. From now on, I can only be your wife, and you are my husband. Ouyang was overjoyed and said, okay, then I'll call you longer. Xiaolongne blushed and said, that's it. After a while, the two of them got dressed and washed up. Xiaolongne said softly, oh my, I've seen the big red wedding dress left by my grandparents in the ancient tomb before. It's so beautiful. After hearing the string song, Ouyang understood its elegance and smiled, wrap it around me. Xiaolongne let out a sigh. Signaled him to quickly go to the town office. Ouyang cooked breakfast and finished it with Xiaolongne. Give another earnest reminder. Only then did he make his way up to the town. Arrive at the town. It took a long time to find a tailor shop. He threw out an ingot of silver and instructed the boss to make a set of wedding clothes as soon as possible. I'm waiting to go back and pick it up the next day. Suddenly encountering two Chuanjian sect Taoists wearing Taoist robes. Ouyang Guo woke up in shock and called out, although I brought long air down Zhongnan mountain, Zhenjibing is still alive and well, and it is ultimately a great hidden danger. It seems that we must go to the Chuanjian sect to depose him. Dragon Knights can avoid killing. But he must have no ability to do evil. Read this together. Then he used his lightness skills and followed behind two Chuanjian sect Taoists. At noon. Ouyang Guo once again arrived at the foot of Zhongnan mountain. Turning around the mountain valley, we are about to continue moving forward. 7 Taoist priests suddenly jumped out on the road ahead. Each wielding their long swords, they were actually using the Heavenly Gang Beidou Zhen formation. He felt a chill in his heart. Just about to give up. Suddenly, the sound of an AI intelligent system came from the ear, prompting. The host triggers a challenge to the Chuanjian faction mission, stimulating the ability to engage in superior combat. Template matching is in progress. Please select Free Mode or On-Screen Printing Mode for the host. Kind reminder. During the idle period, the host will be controlled by the system to use various martial arts to achieve the ultimate goal of abolishing the Dragon Knight. Hang up to print. Ouyang Guo did not hesitate. In terms of martial arts, he is currently only top-notch and inferior. It is impossible to break through the formation of the Chuanjian sect. Intelligent hanging up, one-click shackle ancient tomb sect martial arts attributes, using softness to control hardness. Schwa. Ouyang's whole body suddenly changed its momentum. There was a hint of a master's demeanor between the eyebrows. 7 Taoist priests saw a young boy climbing the mountain. Just about to inquire. Ouyang Guo, who was hanging up, had already rushed out and directly seized the North Star position. Arrange the formation. The Taoist leader shouted loudly. However, it's already late. The 3 Taoist priests on the left responded with swords, but all fell through. The Tiangang Beidu formation has tremendous power, but its strongest and weakest point is the position of the North Star. Once the formation is occupied by the enemy, the 7 of them can no longer form an encirclement. Transform. The senior Taoist in the main formation immediately made a decision. However, Ouyang Guo had already taken the lead in his move. The left sleeve brushed lightly, gentle as the wind but heavy as a hammer. Dang 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 dang. 3 long swords instantly fell to the ground. Lin Chaoying, as a woman, has a high sense of pride and often competes with Wang Chongyang. Therefore, he came up with a unique idea and created the inner martial arts of using gentle force to unleash strength, specifically designed to deal with the Chuanjian sect. Therefore, Xiaolongna uses silk ribbons. Li Mochou's weapon is a brush of dust. The foundation lies entirely in this unparalleled skill. Withdraw the sword. Ouyang let out a soft shout, and when he shot down 3 long swords from his left sleeve, his right hand also continued to palm. Seems light but heavy. Seems soft yet firm. Slow down with speed. In an instant, 4 long swords were knocked down again. He exerted his lightness skills under his feet. Walk like the wind. Strike whenever you see someone. Clash. 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 Along the way, disciples of the Chuanjian sect were beaten to the ground and had difficulty breathing. Not good. Yang Guo has hit the mountain. Yang Guo has hit the Chongyang Palace. Soon, an old acquaintance of him quickly reported to the mountain. Ouyang repeatedly mocked and replaced the various martial arts of the ancient tomb sect with updated AI intelligence, making them incredibly precise. Drive from the foot of the mountain to the top of the mountain. No more opponents. He vented a fierce anger on his predecessor. Suddenly, 4 to 50 Taoist priests appeared ahead. Every 7 people in a group, surprisingly, 13 Heavenly Gang and Big Dipper formations were formed. And the 2 stinky Taoist priests in the middle are the most annoying Zhao Zhijing and Zhen Jibing. Immediately, with a long whistle, he shouted, Zhen Jibing, Yin Jiping, come forward and fight. Zhen Jibing doesn't know why he was held accountable. Zhao Zhijing was already filled with anger and shouted, Yang Guo, you rebellious disciple, dare to come to the Chongyang Palace to cause trouble. Today, I will clean up my door. During the conversation, the long sword swung and 13 large formations were launched together. Ouyang snorted coldly, clean the door, are you good at it? Look at the fight. Words fall on people. Under the control of AI intelligence system. He takes every step at the position of the North Star. Bang bang. Bang bang. Bang bang. But seeing or slapping or punching, or hold the sword technique with your hands or kick your acupoints with your feet. 13 major formations were dismantled in an instant. Quickly kill 2 annoying ghosts, Zhen Jibing and Zhao Zhijing. Zhao Zhijing watched as the formation was broken. Immediately turn the sword to the left hand. Together with the other 6 people, they reached out with their right palm and launched a fight. Ouyang Guo naturally used a new version of Toad's skill upon seeing this situation. Bring both palms together. The surging force erupted, stretching and contracting, one yin and one yang. Bang bang. The 7 of them suddenly became unstable. Zhao Zhijing's prominent mouthful of blood was greatly shocked. This strike combines the martial arts essence of 3 great masters, Lin Chaoying, Wang Chongyang, and Ouyang Feng, and is not something that ordinary Zhao Zhijing, who has practiced martial arts, can withstand. The combined internal strength of 7 people. It was directly broken from the node before it was fully utilized. Get out of here, young master. Amidst Ouyang's fierce cheers, he shook the other 5 off. The Toad skill, palm power is collected and released again. Take Shenjibing directly. Goo 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 goo. In the idle mode, he suddenly opened his mouth and inhaled. Bringing the all-new version of Toad technique to the extreme, it is incredibly powerful. It's like a sun archer's bow. Shoo, shoo. Shoot the deadly arrow. My life is at rest. As soon as Shenjibing stood still, he was invaded by an unparalleled force. He could only resist with all his might. I'm about to die. Suddenly, a strong and pure Taoist inner strength came from my vest. Boom. After the loud noise, Ouyang flipped over and fell several meters away. Although Shenjibing was severely injured, his life was at ease. Toad skill. Yang Guo. The 5 still alive sons of Chuanjin arrived. Led by Qiu Chuji, the internal forces are interconnected and the palms are released in unison. Blocked the powerful blow of the Toad skill just now. Tiangang Beidou formation. Good guy. What a Chuanjin sect. Let's have another day to determine the winner. The turbid gas from the outlet of the Ouyang nozzle rises and leaves. In an instant, there was no trace. The AI intelligent system certainly counts as a way to break through the formation. But it is impossible to measure the martial arts level of reinforcements such as Qiu Chuji. So he also suffered a big loss. Can only temporarily retreat. Chapter 4. Swallowing the Heavenly Toad Method. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 5. Heroes Save Beauty. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The next morning, Ouyang got up and asked the waiter for a basin of hot water to wash his face. He finished his meal. The 2 Chuanjin sect Taoists have already settled their accounts and left. I'll follow up and see what happens. If it's Lu Wushuang, I'll take action to save her. Ouyang Guo Xian Dao. I inquired about the location of Jackal's Valley and bought a bamboo flute and a dagger at the market. The bamboo flute inserted at the waist exudes a rustic elegance. Daggers are used in daily life. He walked briskly, walking confidently, and arrived at the Valley of Jackals before noon. Then I found a large bluestone to hide behind and watch the play. When I was extremely bored, I used a dagger to cut wood and made a ghost face mask to play with. At noon, the sky is gradually getting darker. Ji Qingshu from the Chuanjin sect, along with Pai Qingxian and an elderly Taoist, arrived first. This elderly Taoist should be their Shincher uncle. Next came 2 middle-aged beggars, one fat and one thin, who were the leaders of the beggars sect in the Guanzhong area. Only the woman who made the appointment has not arrived yet. Got it. Suddenly, a sound of hooves came from outside the valley. Here we go. Shen Jixing from the Chuanjin faction was the first to voice a reminder. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a woman in white riding a black donkey. Miss, why do you want to reward our Chuanjin sect disciples? The woman in white grabbed the reins and snorted coldly, I'll blame the 2 stinky Taoists from your Chuanjin sect for being rude to me. You're talking nonsense. Pai Qingxian covered the bandage around his ear and cursed, "We just glanced at you one more time, and we were hit by this poison." "That's right, where did we know you were a cripple?" Ji Qingshu also refuted. The woman disdains to argue with them, just pressing the handle of the knife. Ji Qingshu thought to herself, since she came, let's have a good fight. Let's take revenge first. So he introduced, these two are Han heroes and Chen heroes from the Beggars sect, and this one is our Uncle Shen. Our people are all here, where is your helper? Let's also call it out together. Shua. The woman in white pulled out her willow leaf curved sword, and the silver light shone brightly. Raise the knife and make a buzzing sound. This is my helper. The woman in white shouted coldly. Immediately shaking the reins, the black donkey ran towards several people. Shua shua shua. She rode on the back of a donkey and swung a knife before chopping. Han and Chen, two disciples of the Beggars sect, were charged in front of the donkey and had to avoid. However, the curved blade borrowed speed and came incredibly fast. The beggar surnamed Chen lifted his stick to block and dodged. But it was still half a minute slow, and both fingers on the right hand were cut by the blade, bleeding profusely. The beggar surnamed Han raised his long stick and stabbed him. Shen Jixing swung his sword to stab but was separated by his opponent, and then bent down to dodge. He couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Because it has been proven that the opponent's martial arts are not high. The black donkey continued to charge forward. The woman quickly stood up and slashed twice at Ji Qingshu and Pai Qingxian, respectively. Dang, dang. After a sword-to-sword battle, Ji Qingshu evaded in embarrassment. Pai Qingshuan's scalp was once again shaved off, and blood flowed profusely. Little slut, you have a seed to fight against. Today I'll fight with you. His first ear being cut off was careless. This fight has fallen behind again. It was purely the woman who took advantage of the running momentum of the black donkey and held a high position, taking a great advantage. The woman in white sneered, pulled the reins with her left hand, and the black donkey turned around. Rushing forward again. With the advantage of speed, prepare to recreate the scene just now. Force her down. Han and Chen, two disciples of the Beggars sect with rich experience in fighting, immediately came up with countermeasures. Two long sticks attack from side to side. Shen Jixing used Chuanjin swordsmanship, with a sword as fast as a stab. The woman in white waved her sword to parry and was quickly trapped with one sword and two sticks. Never mind taking care of the donkey again. Ji Qingshu and Pai Qingxian each drew their swords and slashed at the legs of the black donkey. You're shameless. The girl scolded lightly, waving a knife to block a sword. A little distracted, a long stick approached and almost got hit. She quickly returned to the knife block. With a clanging sound, the knives and sticks intersected, and under a hard collision, they almost let go of the weapon. Puzzy. Pai Qingxian swung his sword and cut off the donkey's leg. The donkey fell to the ground with a loud roar. The woman had to jump up and swung her knife to chop. Dang dang twice, by the time she landed, she had already fallen into a tight encirclement. Attack her right leg. Ji Qingshu shouted loudly. Because the woman has a slight limp in her right leg, her movements have slowed down by half a beat, so her swordsmanship has naturally been compromised. Ding ding dang dang. After another round of confrontation, the woman in white is already in danger. Her left earring was pierced off by Shen Jixing's sword tip. The silver hairband on the head was also cut off. If you don't hide quickly, you'll either die or be injured. Miss, what is your relationship with Li Mochou from the ancient tomb sect? Seeing the victory in hand, Shen Jixing condensed his sword and asked. In fact, he had already noticed it. Although this woman uses a curved sword, her foundation is swordsmanship, mainly using stabbing techniques. It is clearly the path of the ancient tomb sect. Ouyang can see clearly behind the big blue stone. If it weren't for the sword techniques of the ancient tomb sect restraining the Chuanjian sect in their moves, she would have been defeated long ago. Auntie has nothing to do with Li Mochou. The woman in white replied and continued to wield her sword fiercely. Look at the sword. Shen Jixing finally stopped holding back. I was originally worried about killing the woman in front of me and being avenged by Li Mochou. Now that she refuses to admit it, she has a desire to kill and silence. Shua shua shua. He fired 3 swords in a row, and the killing intent on his sword skyrocketed. The other 4 accomplices also followed suit and tightened their encirclement. Oath to kill the witch in front of me in the valley of jackals and wolves. Damn it. I can't watch the play anymore. Ouyang looked clearly and immediately put on a wooden mask. Showcasing lightness skills and appearing gracefully. Dang dang. Dang 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 dang. Ji Qingshu, the sword in Pai Qingshuan's hand instantly broke. Shen Jixing, Han, and Shen all landed their weapons one after another. Ouyang Guo used bamboo flute as a sword to demonstrate the ancient tomb-style swordsmanship. Pierce 4 people in one move. But almost simultaneously hit the enemy. Strike acupoints to defeat enemies, extremely precise. For the Food Abuse Bureau. He doesn't even need to fight on his behalf. Are you a human or a ghost? Shen Jixing covered the back of his hand in disbelief. It's shameless to bully others with more. Ouyang Guo cursed. Immediately turned his gaze to the 2 disciples of the beggar's sect. Han and Chen, 2 disciples of the beggar's sect, have rich experience in the martial arts world. At the sight of being defeated, he turned his head and ran away, even without the use of long sticks and weapons. Let's go. Ji Qingshu followed suit and explained, Senior uncle, let's go quickly. After speaking, he quickly ran away. Pai Qingxian was flustered in his heart, unable to distinguish things, but instead ran towards the woman in white. Shua. The woman in white cut with a knife in anger. Pai Qingxian was shocked as he had no more weapons in his hand and could only raise his hand to block the crisis. Click it. The knife flashed, and his 4 fingers on the right fell to the ground. This unlucky guy didn't care to shout for pain and continued to run wild. The woman in white doesn't know which one to pursue. In no time, the 2 stinky Taoist priests fled without a trace. Shen Jixing is still daydreaming. You should go too. Ouyang raised his foot and kicked him upside down. After such a drop. Shen Jixing, on the contrary, regained his senses and fled in panic. Hey, who the hell are you? Why are you helping me? The girl in white looked at the strange person who had saved her, holding a curved sword on guard. Hey, I'm your future husband. Ouyang Guo deliberately sighed and smiled. A few years ago, you didn't have any money to pay for your food and drink at my house, so you mortgaged yourself to me. Why, do you want to admit it now? Pooh. I don't have a husband. The woman in white said angrily, even if I really owed you money before, I can repay you today. After speaking, he really threw an ingot of silver over. Ouyang caught the silver, weighed it, shook his head, and said, not enough. The girl raised her eyebrows and cursed with a heavy face, no, weirdo. After speaking, turn around and leave. Chapter 6. Playing Dragon and Phoenix. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ouyang Guo wanted to tease her, but with a flash of his body, he stood in front of her. Opening his arms to block the way, he shouted, Wife, you can't go, you can't go. The girl used her lightness skills and leaped towards the side. Whoosh! Ouyang followed closely and reached out to stop him, saying, Wife, you can't leave. The girl was both surprised and angry, and amused, thinking that he had mistaken someone. Immediately, he raised his sword and shouted, Get out of the way. If you continue to entangle yourself, I will cut you to death with one blow. Ouyang chuckled and said, To die with the Wushuang sword is to be a ghost and be promiscuous. This young girl is none other than Lu Wushuang. She had a beautiful appearance since childhood and grew up even more beautiful. In the past, when he broke his leg, Li Mochou attacked during the bone grafting, resulting in an improper bone grafting and a limp in one leg. Later, she was abducted by Li Mochou and was not killed due to her love affair with half a piece of brocade. For several years. Every time Li Mochou wanted to harm, she would flatter and please her everywhere. Finally saved my life. I also became a disciple of Li Mochou and learned some martial arts from the ancient Tomb sect. But Lu Wushuang harbored a grudge against his parents in his heart. When Li Mochou and Hong Lingbo entered the ancient tomb to search for the secret script, he stole a copy of the 5 Poison Secret and escaped from the Qixia villa, wandering in the world. Prepared to practice martial arts before seeking revenge. Because of her beautiful appearance, she often harbors resentment towards being lame on one foot. She heard her name being called out and immediately swung a knife to chop it over. Don't worry about the exceptional martial arts skills of the strange people. Ah, kill me, my wife killed my husband. Ouyang shouted loudly, his figure swaying left and right, easily avoiding the curved sword. Lu Wushuang became even angrier and grabbed the opportunity to strike several times in a row. Ouyang stepped on the 7-star position and shuttled back and forth, each time several inches apart, making her unable to hit the target. Lu Wushuang had no choice but to withdraw his sword and shout, "All right, I won't kill you, and you can't talk nonsense anymore." Ouyang Guo shook his head gently. Lu Wushuang had no choice but to ignore him. Insert the curved knife into your belt and hike along the way. Wife, wait for me. Ouyang Guo continued to cause trouble and followed step by step. The two of them walked forward and backward, stopping and moving. Until dusk, I was still pulling on the pipeline. Lu Wushuang walked wearily and couldn't shake off the strange person behind him, feeling very angry. Suddenly, she had a plan in her mind and fell to the ground amidst shouting and shouting. Ouyang stepped forward to check. Lu Wushuang coquettishly said, "Strange person, don't you want me to be your daughter? Lol. I sprained my foot, please help me check my injury." "Okay, just a moment." Ouyang leaned down. Puzzy. The girl kicked his chest acupoint with a little flying foot. Ouyang knew there was fraud when he saw her eyes flickering before squatting down. Therefore, the early operation of the meridian reversal method moved the acupoints away. Ah! He deliberately pretended to have his acupoints tapped and sat on the ground. Lu Wushuang chuckled and said, "Even if you are treacherous like a ghost, you have ultimately taken my path." She stood up and drew her knife, making 2 virtual cuts. "No more catching up. Don't call me my wife again. Otherwise, I'll chop off my head melon seeds for you." After speaking harshly, he walked straight towards the town ahead. Wait for her to leave. Ouyang Guo also got up and followed from afar to the town. Arrived at the inn. I bought a pot of wine, a roast chicken and 4 mantou. Pack it up and carry it in your hand to continue on your journey. Follow the trail of Lu Wushuang. After leaving the town, I walked 4 or 5 miles further. There is a dilapidated stone temple next to the road ahead, which is uninhabited but filled with hay. Ouyang Guo saw Lu Wushuang sleeping inside to nourish his mind, but there was a machete beside him. He sat outside the door, brought firewood, and lit a bonfire. Roast the roast chicken and mantou and eat them with good wine. Lu Wushuang was sleeping soundly when he suddenly smelled a fragrance and couldn't help but wake up. Under the moonlight, a strange person sat cross-legged next to the fire. Eating roasted chicken and drinking wine, life is very carefree. Do you want to eat it? Ouyang smiled and tore off a chicken leg, handing it over. So you look so beautiful. Lu Wushuang subconsciously said. Then he took the chicken legs and sat by the fire to eat. Because he took off his mask while eating and drinking, his ordinary and handsome appearance naturally emerged. At the sight of Yang Guo, he missed his entire life. This statement is not empty talk. Lu Wushuang was the first woman to witness her handsomeness. Strange person, what's your name? How do you know my name is Lu Wushuang? Listen to what Li Mochou said. My surname is Ni and I call you husband. Lu Wushuang was furious. Throwing down the chicken bones, standing up and slapping it with one palm. Ouyang sat still, his shoulders exerting force and bouncing her away. You're still a master. Lu Wushuang was even more surprised. Of course, my name is Ouyang Guo, and I hold a killing skill that is unparalleled in the world. This person approached me with ill intentions. Lu Wushuang thought to himself, when he falls asleep, I'll kill him with another knife. So he turned back into the grass shop, closed his eyes and pretended to sleep, but secretly touched the handle of the knife. Ouyang had enough to eat and drink, and also made a grass bed to sleep. At midnight, Lu Wushuang quietly got up, walked over to him, put away his knife, and slashed fiercely. Bang! The curved blade slashed down as if it had hit an iron stone, and a strong and powerful force rebounded along the blade. She suddenly felt a sharp pain in her wrist. The curved knife slipped into the ground. Until there's no handle. Is this strange person wearing iron armor impervious to weapons and knives? Lu Wushuang was greatly surprised. Looking carefully, Ouyang Guo is still sleeping and snoring. She reached out and wiped away anything like armor under her clothes. Strange person. Strange person. Get up. Lu Wushuang shook his body fiercely. Ouyang Guo opened his eyes, yawned, and said, "What's the noise? Why, do you want to sleep with me? Say, did you just cause trouble? Hey, late at night, my wife and great husband." Ouyang laughed and jumped away, shouting loudly. You're not allowed to shout around. Lu Wushuang is chasing and attacking. Hey, come and see, there's a cripple hitting someone here. Bad guy, I have to kill you this time. Lu Wushuang launched a series of moves and began to strike hard. You should know that the two Taoists of the Qiuanzhen sect cut off their ears just because they glanced at her limp leg. Now it is called a cripple. She was directly infuriated. Middle. Ouyang Guo suddenly used a grappling hand to grab her left arm and backhand a little. Lu Wushuang was hit by his own finger on the acupoint. She was extremely scared in her heart, but her body couldn't move. I had to drink and say, "Hey, weirdo, you tapped my acupoint. Hurry up and unlock it." I tapped your acupoint. Let me rest healthy. Ouyang Guo deliberately pretended to be foolish. He casually pointed, nodding forward and touching back. It's not there. I warn you not to act recklessly. Ah, why are you lifting my skirt? Lu Wushuang is about to collapse. I'll help you relieve your acupoints. Ouyang spread his hands and said innocently. You're playing a rogue. Help me, it's impolite. Someone is playing hooligans. Lu Wushuang screamed desperately. Ouyang Guo touched her laughing hole. Lu Wushuang couldn't help but laugh out loud and said, "Ahahaha, when I solve my acupoints, I will definitely shatter your body into pieces." At this moment, a Qiuanzhen Taoist and two beggars were attracted by her laughter. But they are enemies who seek revenge for their friends. Fairy, you are indeed here. After speaking, the three figures rushed in. Chapter 7. Encountering Li Mochou again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wife, why are you standing still? Did you give someone an acupoint? Ouyang turned behind her and deliberately said. The leading Taoist was overjoyed and said coldly, "Stinky girl, you also have today." As he spoke, he drew his sword and stabbed. Injustice has its head, debt has its owner, and there is revenge. You can calculate it yourselves. Ouyang turned around and walked away, then sat down by the fire. Just as Lin walked away, he slapped Lu Wushuang on the shoulder with his backhand. Unleashed her acupoints. Sharp blade added. Without much time to think, Lu Wushuang suddenly leaned back to avoid a sword, and took the opportunity to kick the stinky Taoist away. And those two beggars also waved iron bars to fight. Lu Wushuang quickly straightened up and used his grappling technique to grab an iron rod. Bang! Backhand elbow knocked down another person. However, there was no time to parry the third person's iron rod. Bang! She was heavily stabbed in the ribs by a middle-aged iron rod, and fell backwards to the ground. With a scream, he fell into a coma. "Brother, how do you deal with this girl?" Two middle-aged beggars asked. "Naturally, she would cut off her ears and seek revenge for my two fellow disciples." The young Taoist advanced with his sword and said fiercely. "What a true disciple." Ouyang let out a cold snort. Then he began to save the person, waving his right hand lightly. The three stones that were heated by the campfire immediately flew up when the palm power reached them. Go! The Tianluoduang's palm was rapidly pushed forward. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Three flints shot out with lightning. One hit the iron rod and the other hit the chest of the middle-aged beggar. The two disciples of the beggar's sect knew their strength and immediately fled into the darkness. The young Taoist from the Chuanjian sect has poor swordsmanship but extremely high lightness skills. He dodged half a foot and dodged the flying stone with a sudden movement of his body. What a thief! The young Taoist cursed loudly and stabbed with his sword. Ouyang Guo felt angry in his heart and flicked the sword light with his right hand. The left palm flashed out like lightning and hit the Taoist's chest with a thud. "Get out of here." Speaking, he urged his palm strength. The young Taoist's body involuntarily rose into the air and fell to a distance of about 10 feet. Puff! The young Taoist couldn't get up again after falling to the ground. Surprisingly, he was beaten to death with one palm. Bad luck. Ouyang Guo is just a cruel dish. Unexpectedly, one of them exerted too much force and accidentally killed someone. I had to step forward and throw the body of the young Taoist, along with his sword, into the bushes. Come back to investigate Lu Wushuang's injuries. I saw my face as gold paper, my breathing was weak, and I was seriously injured. He picked her up and walked back to the dilapidated temple, resting her on a haystack. Lu Wushuang was already unconscious, but the sharp pain from her ribs woke her up again. "Are you awake? Is it painful?" Ouyang smiled and asked. Lu Wushuang, with his 7 meat and 8 vegetables in pain, gritted his teeth and cursed upon seeing him. "Of course it hurts, weirdo. Are you intentionally torturing me? What about those 3 guys?" "I ran away." Ouyang said, "Do you want me to bone you?" Lu Wushuang lay on the haystack, pulling his ribs while breathing, and the pain suddenly became even more severe. She gritted her teeth and her forehead was covered in cold sweat. "Can you do bone grafting?" She took a breath and asked. "A little bit." Ouyang Guo's expression straightened and he said, "Miss, it's very common for us martial arts practitioners to treat falls and injuries. Don't worry, I will cover my eyes with a cloth strip when the bone is fixed, so I won't see anything that shouldn't be seen." His words, spoken with a righteous and noble demeanor, are quite credible. Lu Wushuang thought to himself, this strange person has excellent martial arts skills and may actually know how to join bones. But even if he covers his eyes, he will still touch my chest when joining bones. What should I do? Well, the children of the martial arts world are not bound by trivial matters. If he heals my injury, I won't pursue it. If he can't cure it, I'll die with him. She suffered from the tragedy of annihilation in her childhood, endured humiliation and fought for her life, and was no longer a weak woman. Moreover, he followed Li Mochou for a long time, with his ears and eyes moistened, and he learned to be ruthless and ruthless. He was full of malicious thoughts, so he didn't care about being shy. So he gritted his teeth and said, "All right. Please bone me up. If you dare to deceive me, my aunt will die with you. I want to be my aunt, let's talk about it in 80 years. Ouyang was bickering while thinking about how to negotiate a bargain. At this moment, Wei Xiaobao's flirtatious scene with Lord Wei suddenly surged in his heart, and at critical moments, he must be ruthless and seize the opportunity to offer conditions. Never be a good person in vain. He rolled his eyes and deliberately said, "Look at your bad attitude, I have to charge some interest. If I'm going to bone you up, you have to call me good brother 3 times first." Lu Wushuang muttered in unison, "Pooh, pooh, pooh, scoundrel, stinky scoundrel." Ah! She cursed and caused a sharp pain in her ribs and chest. "Okay, if you don't call me out, I'll have to leave. Anyway, we're not relatives." Ouyang smiled and then got up and walked towards the door. "As soon as this person leaves, will I have to die in a dilapidated temple?" Lu Wushuang was very anxious and hurriedly said, "Okay. Brother, don't leave, come back quickly to get the bone." "How did you just shout out?" Good brother, hee hee. Hee hee." Lu Wushuang shouted twice in a row. Ouyang said, "All right, I'll bone you up." After speaking, he walked up close. Reached out to untie her clothes. Lu Wushuang involuntarily avoided and exclaimed in surprise, "Go away. What are you doing? How to bone through clothes?" Ouyang said, "Don't worry, I'll cover my eyes later and not take advantage of you." Lu Wushuang has already agreed. But if he had to let him undress, he would eventually feel shy, so he whispered, "You, turn around and I will undress myself. Love can't cure, who wouldn't want to see you?" Ouyang turned around while speaking. At this moment, suddenly, a sound of bells could be heard outside the house, followed by familiar words. "This little slut must be hiding within a radius of 10 miles. Let's quickly search." Surprisingly, it's Li Mochou. Ouyang Guo doesn't want his identity exposed. Immediately put on the wooden carving mask, lightly jump, and fly out of the house. He jumped up and hid on the roof. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Lu Wushuang's face immediately turned pale with fear. "I was about to seek help from a strange person, but I couldn't find any trace of the stinky scoundrel." Ouyang Guo hid in the dark and listened. Another woman's voice said, "Those 2 beggars have a grudge against their junior sister. According to what they said, junior sister is hiding in a dilapidated temple. This person is definitely Hong Lingbo." After leaving the ancient tomb, their master and apprentice teamed up to play a game, infuriated Xiaolongnu, and drugged Ouyang Guo, feeling extremely proud. Li Mochou vented his anger and returned to the Qixia villa with his disciple. Unexpectedly, Lu Wushuang stole the 5 poison secret and fled. Li Mochou was greatly angry and immediately led Hong Lingbo to search and pursue everywhere. You should know that she roams the world with 2 unique skills. Red practiced Divine Palm and Ice Wave Silver Needle. But both of these skills require the use of poison to defeat and kill enemies. If the 5 poison secret scripts have been spread, how can one kill people easily? Not long after, the 2 of them saw the bonfire. Li Mochou was overjoyed. Since there is a fire outside the temple, then Lu Wushuang must be nearby. Most likely hiding in a dilapidated temple. So he pulled Hong Lingbo straight towards the broken temple. Chapter 8. Ribs Below. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 9. Endless Entanglement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2 people sit opposite each other. Ouyang took off his mask and ate normally. Lu Wushuang angrily said, "Strange person, why do you wear a mask when you look so beautiful? I'm afraid your master will recognize me." Ouyang laughed and talked nonsense. Lu Wushuang said, I'm afraid both of this and that. Why don't you just skip the meal? Although she likes to argue, her stomach is starving. After saying a few words, I buried my head in eating. Ouyang Guo drinks before eating, which is very carefree. During the meal, 4 beggars with martial arts skills suddenly walked into the door. The leader shouted loudly, the little girl has done a great job. The second person continued to rap, please give the beggar a bowl of flatbed noodles to eat. There is a way to heaven, you won't go. Hell has no door to break in. The 2 beggars behind continued to rap loudly. These 4 beggars are not kind and use their martial arts skills in rap, which is truly heart-wrenching and cannot be underestimated. Even though Ouyang Guo possessed exceptional skills, he was secretly surprised. I cannot help but overestimate the heritage of the beggars sect. Each of the 4 beggars held a broken bowl, a stick, and carried 4 or 5 pockets on their clothes, indicating their high status in the beggars sect. Lu Wushuang has injuries on his body and it takes a lot of effort to pick up vegetables with chopsticks. How can he face the enemy? By the way, the strange person has excellent martial arts skills, and now he is his wife again. He should be the one to deal with the 4 stinky beggars. Ouyang Guo poured and drank from himself, ignoring the 4 beggars. Xiang Gong, hurry up and send some beggars away. Lu Wushuang pleaded softly. She didn't even know how she could say such soft words. Ouyang smiled and said, all right, I'll take action now. As soon as he finished speaking, he clapped his left hand on the table. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 4 bamboo chopsticks suddenly flew out of the chopstick basket, shooting 4 different names. Be careful. The leading beggar spoke out as a reminder. However, the speed of the bamboo chopsticks was too fast, and with a flash of black light, the acupoints on the back of the 4 named Hua Zi's hands were completely numb, and all the broken bowls fell to the ground. Bang bang, smash it into pieces. Still not leaving. Ouyang shouted loudly. He pressed his big palm on the table and exerted an invisible force, pushing the 4 beggars outside the door. The 4 beggars now knew how powerful they were, and their figures disappeared in a flash. Lu Wushuang was stunned and pointed to the fallen chopsticks, asking, what kind of magic did you use just now? Why did those 4 beggars obediently leave? Ouyang smiled and said, the small skill of carving insects is not worth mentioning. Lu Wushuang snorted and didn't turn his head. Ouyang said, do you want to learn? I'll teach you. The 2 of them had a different kind of fun while eating and joking. I settled the bill after dinner. Lu Wushuang pondered and said, strange person, oh no, it's brother Ouyang. Can you help me buy another donkey? She is ultimately a girl's family, and being carried on a journey is really embarrassing. Silly daughter. Law, you're crossing a river and demolishing a bridge. Ouyang once complained roast, I will stop calling my husband when I help you defeat the enemy. Alas, if another enemy comes to you next time, don't ask me. Lu Wushuang scolded, then you can let me live and die on my own. I can't even afford to buy a donkey as a means of transportation. Do you still want to be someone else's husband? In the next life, it's up to you. This is a remote and impoverished place. Can you buy me a donkey to show me? Ouyang Guo gradually became angry. The 2 of them stared wide-eyed, both feeling that the other was making a fool of themselves. Suddenly, a rural child ran into the sect and shouted. Miss Lu, someone asked to send you something. After finishing speaking, he put a piece of writing paper on the table, turned around, and ran away. Lu Wushuang picked it up in surprise and opened it. I saw it written above. Respected teacher Li Mochou, you are about to be killed. Stop playing around and hide one quickly. The handwriting is quite elegant, and the writer is obviously a cultured person. Upon seeing the words, Ouyang immediately thought of Chengyang as a warning in secret. Another beauty is about to appear. He felt happy in his heart, but he didn't want to be seen through by Li Mochou. So he put on a wooden carving mask again. Lu Wushuang exclaimed in surprise, "Why does this handwriting have a familiar feeling? Who is helping me?" Ouyang picked her up again, walked out of the inn gate, and hurried on. "Madam, which direction are you heading?" Lu Wushuang wrapped his hands around his neck and said, "Southeast direction." Originally, she was going to go through Julin Pass and Majiazi, go east through Tongguan, and then turn south. Now being chased by Master Li Mochou, I can only take a small path and head straight towards the southeast direction. Ouyang has profound internal strength, even though he is holding someone, he still walks briskly. After leaving the market for 7 or 8 miles, I suddenly ran into a wedding procession. Although it was a rural tycoon who got married, there were also dozens of people who boasted and cheered, carrying a sedan chair on their way. I've come up with a solution. Ouyang Guo suddenly smiled and said, "Madam, I'll let you experience riding a sedan chair today." Lu Wushuang was frightened out of control by his master, and upon hearing this, he immediately became furious. Pinching his neck, he said, "Bad guy, my master will be killing you soon. Are you still playing?" Ouyang smiled and said, "Let's hide under the bride's sedan chair. No matter how cunningly Mochou is, he won't be able to catch anyone later." Lu Wushuang was taken aback and then suddenly realized. Ouyang put her down and immediately stepped forward to restrain the groom and bride who were welcoming them, allowing Lu Wushuang to hide under the bride's red dress in the bridal sedan chair. He took off his mask and disguised himself as the groom. "Put on a big red hat again, covering your true face. Get up the sedan." Ouyang Guo squeezed his throat and shouted. The welcoming team immediately started off again, blowing and beating. Ding-ling-ling. Not long after, Li Mochou and Hong Lingbo came together. The silver bell on her dust brush made a pleasant sound as she walked. "Hey, have you seen a lame girl?" Hong Lingbo spoke on behalf of the master. Lu Wushuang's heart was already pounding with fear inside the sedan. "No, I didn't see it." Ouyang Guo pinched his throat and answered. Hong Lingbo asked another old man who played the suona, but the other person stuttered and said no. "Master, I haven't seen my junior sister." Hong Lingbo obediently said. She seemed to recognize the groom's official, but dared not speak much. Li Mochou has a suspicious nature, and as he left, he brushed a roll of dust, sharper than a sword. With a hissing sound, he cut off half of the decorative sedan door curtain. I saw a plump and white bride sitting inside the sedan chair. In terms of beauty, she is far inferior to a female demon head. Li Mochou looked at it and felt very happy in his heart. He smiled and said, "Madam, you are very fortunate. Boy, you are fortunate. After speaking, turn around and leave. In fact, if the bride were beautiful, she would be poisoned today." Ouyang lowered his head without answering. Only when Li Mochou and his disciples have left, can Lu Wushuang come out. Strange person. Xianggong, you are really amazing. You can even guess my master's suspicion. Lu Wushuang's smile was like a flower. After escaping the calamity of life and death, my mood also improved a lot. Ouyang Guo and Lu Wushuang continued their journey towards the east. The rural groom and bride, after experiencing a storm, finally got married smoothly in the church. It's also considered fortunate. Chapter 10. The Road of Grandmaster. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Hurry the day's journey. Before dark, the two of them found a town to stay overnight. After ordering the food, I had just finished half of it when suddenly a figure shook at the door and 2 Taoist priests walked in. Upon closer inspection, Ouyang Guo saw that they were disciples of the Chuanjin sect, namely Shen Jixing and Ji Qingshu, who were beaten away by him in the Jackal and Wolf Valley. 2 stinky Taoist priests drew their swords and tried several times, but in the end, they were afraid of Ouyang Guo's mysterious martial arts and dared not take action. Cowards. Ouyang opened his mouth and cursed. The two of them were so frightened that they dared not refute, but instead asked the waiter for a guest room. Bang! Quickly close the door and sit down. Dingling. 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 Not long after. The sound of bells on Li Mochou's body came from outside again, and he even rushed to this inn to stay. Lu Wushuang was like a mouse meeting a cat, trembling all over. Xianggong, good brother, come up with a solution quickly. She was extremely scared. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Ouyang's soft voice comforts. Then he stood up and quietly snapped the door bolt with a gentle palm. You. Before the two Taoist priests in the room could react, they tapped the acupoints. Wife, come in quickly. He waved inside the house. Lu Wushuang rushed into the house and closed the door behind him. Take off your clothes quickly. Ouyang quickly stripped off the outer robes of the two stinky Taoist priests. What are you doing? However, Lu Wushuang's cheeks turned red. Of course, I deceived your master by changing into Taoist clothes. I can't take it off from you. Ouyang would put on a black Taoist robe after 3 rounds and divide by 5. Lu Wushuang suddenly woke up and praised, good strategy. Kick down 2 stinky Taoist priests first, then blush and untie your clothes. Hurry up and change, your master is coming. Strange person, turn around and don't watch me change clothes. I've touched it all, but you're still afraid I'll see it. Ouyang has complained roast. But he also turned around and hid 2 Taoist priests under the bed. Lu Wushuang felt embarrassed and hastily changed into a Taoist robe. The two of them jumped onto the bed and sat cross-legged, with their palms touching each other, pretending to meditate and practice their energy. Leave your side facing the door. Just as I finished disguising myself, the voice of Li Mochou asking questions came from outside. Fairy, I don't have the lame girl you're looking for in my store. Sigh. The shop assistant was brushed with dust. Suddenly fell to the ground, dead without a sound. Dare to call Li Mochou, the elderly. This is breaking her big taboo. She caught the innkeeper again and asked, have you seen a lame girl staying at the inn? The innkeeper was already scared out of his wits. I can't say a complete sentence in half a day. Li Mochou impatiently pushed the shopkeeper away. Take Hong Lingbo to search room by room. Ouyang Guo and Lu Wushuang hid inside, pretending to meditate. Before Li Mochou could come, he waited for a woman in a green robe. She whispered, I'll try to distract Li Mochou. You guys run away quickly later. After speaking, without waiting for a reply, the figure flashed away. Leaving only a faint aroma. It must be Chengying. Ouyang Guo guessed. Since the girl appeared, is it still far from being teased? Suddenly, the sound of donkeys came from the entrance of the inn. Hong Lingbo exclaimed in shock, Master, someone stole our donkey. You have to draw your sword and chase after me while speaking. Continue searching the inn. Li Mochou sneered, this is just a trick to lure a tiger away from the mountain. Don't try to deceive me. Bang bang. She smashed the door with a brush of dust and knocked open several houses, but found nothing. Not this one. Li Mochou saw 2 Taoist priests inside the house. First of all, without looking closely, I went to search for the next guest room. Ouyang Guo and Lu Wushuang lay in bed and continued to sleep. Strange person, it's best for you to be honest when sleeping at night. Touch your hand and chop your hand, then extend your foot and chop your foot. I'll keep my word. Lu Wushuang forcefully attacked his spirit and issued a threat. Ouyang Guo directly tapped her acupoints and pulled the blanket to cover the two of them. Madam, on this beautiful night, should we share the same bed and spend the wedding night together? Damn it, if he uses strength, will I comply or not? Lu Wushuang fell asleep in confusion. Ouyang Guo just hugged her and slept for a while. It's not too late to take it off when Lu Wushuang's ribs have grown. This night, Li Mochou searched all the inns in the town of Master Hong Lingbo and his disciples, causing restlessness, but still couldn't catch anyone. The next day, the sky was bright. Lu Wushuang woke up and saw the strange person lying next to him, his mind fluctuating. On the one hand, he secretly hates Ouyang Guo for his strong martial arts skills, eccentric behavior, and always taking advantage of himself. On the other side, smelling the strong masculine aura on his body, Jing Er couldn't help but reverse it, as if being his wife was also good. Ouyang woke up and yawned. Lift your hand and unlock the acupoints of the girl beside you. However, Lu Wushuang quickly slowed down his breathing and pretended to be asleep without waking up. Okay, I'll tell you to pretend to sleep. Ouyang couldn't help but have a strong appetite when he saw her beautiful and delicious. Bend over and give her a kiss on the face. At this moment, the morning sun is rising and the yang energy is rising, making it almost impossible to control with this kiss. Without considering pretending to sleep, Lu Wushuang quickly opened his eyes and raised his hand to press on his chest, struggling to say. Strange person, bad guy, don't mess around. There are still 2 Taoists hidden under the bed. If it weren't for a broken rib, the chest would be in severe pain with just a slight pinch. She couldn't stay awake either. Ouyang crossed the ling tai to restore his clarity, jumped off the bed, and said. Hurry up. If it's too late, your master will catch up with you again. After tidying up a bit, he put on a mask and flew away with Lu Wushuang through the window. Lu Wushuang remembered sleeping with him last night, having just been kissed again. Suddenly, a gentle and lingering feeling surged in his heart. During her escape, she wrapped her hands around the monster's neck and whispered. Evil person, if you can escape the master's pursuit this time, I will give it to you. Can you make me a lady? Ouyang chuckled and said. Lu Wushuang snorted and refused to speak again. After traveling southeast for over an hour, Ouyang put her down and sat on a large stone by the roadside to rest. He himself cultivates internal skills and accumulates strength. Lu Wushuang suddenly said, Bad guy, why don't you talk to me? Ouyang passed the martial arts 3 times, regained his internal strength, and then spoke up in response. What are you saying? Didn't you see me practicing? The 2 of them were chatting and laughing, and their relationship rapidly heated up. Suddenly, a horse's hiss came from a distance. Ouyang frowned and looked over. But 2 elderly beggars came riding horses together, as if there was a hint of questioning. Immediately, he asked in a loud voice, What are you 2 doing here? 2 old beggars grabbed the reins of their horses and one of them snorted coldly. You 2 little dolls have injured several disciples of our beggars sect. Today, we are going to take you back to ask for justice. Hurry up and capture them. Both of them have 8 pockets on their clothes, representing the 8 pockets elder. In terms of martial arts status, being placed in the beggars sect is also an extremely desirable existence. Ouyang snorted coldly, You're not ashamed to speak big, take the move. He is too lazy to talk nonsense, so he comes up and fights. And it directly activated the on-hook printing mode. Kind reminder. The host actively chooses to play as a substitute, takes the lead, and triggers the path of the master. Should we open up a master template? Open. Ouyang Guo did not hesitate to choose the Grandmaster template. What is a master? Integrate 100 martial arts schools into one furnace, creating martial arts that suit oneself. For example, Wang Chongyang, the leader of the Chuanjin sect, for example, Lin Chaoying, the founder of the Ancient Tombs sect, and there's also Huang Yaoshi from Dongxia. They are all individuals who can create new martial arts skills and establish their own family. Shua. Under the template of the master, Ouyang crossed the 7-star position and formed the momentum of the Heavenly Gang and the Northern Dipper. But in her hand is the beautiful palm technique of the Ancient Tombs sect. When June sells wine. Empress Dowager's indulgence. Zetian governs the world. 3 consecutive moves, floating like a startled swan, with a strong killing aura. Lin Chaoying used to cultivate both civil and military skills, and his knowledge was not inferior to that of Wang Chongyang. Every move she creates must be named after a historical beauty, but unfortunately, she adds a ruthless killing move to her feminine moves. Strive to kill the enemy to the maximum extent possible. The combination of Qiuanzhen footwork and ancient tomb palm technique is truly seamless in terms of moves. Not good. The 2 elders of the Beggars sect originally did not take a young man seriously. But when the opponent's palm technique was applied, their figure instantly turned into 7, which was extremely terrifying. So we quickly teamed up to confront the enemy.